Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for this Zoom conference and Facebook Live session. Today, Mayor Dilkens is joined by leaders of the local tech community. They'll be providing an update from local technology firms navigating the COVID-19 global pandemic, driving innovation and creating jobs. Mayor Dilkens will provide some introductory remarks momentarily, and our panelists will each provide important updates and perspectives from various sectors in the local tech landscape. We will conclude with questions from the media. A reminder that participants must turn your own microphones and cameras on and off using the Zoom buttons in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Panelists, please ensure that your camera is enabled for the entire session, but only turn on your microphone when speaking. Media, please use the chat function to request a question, and once the panelists have finished their presentations, media members will be called upon to ask questions. Thank you all for your attendance today and your willingness to use this technology. And now I'll turn things over to Mayor Dilkens to start us off. Go ahead, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Dana, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to everyone who's watching, and of course to all the panelists here today to discuss how our local technology firms are helping navigate through this global pandemic and how all of their innovative responses are creating exciting new opportunities in Windsor-Essex. Today, I'm joined by Yvonne Pilon, who's the president and CEO of WeTech Alliance. I also have Mike Sirzadi here. Sorry, Mike, vice president of Vista Solutions. Dr. Philip Ola is here, CEO of Audacia Bioscience. Frank Abruzese is here, president of AlphaCore Group. Dan Circelli is on the line, director of operations for Connecting Windsor-Essex. Brian Hendel is also here, and he's the president of Splice Digital. Also joining us, we have Baka Merdita, who's the vice president of market development for Edison Financial. You've read about them recently in the Windsor Star. And Andrea Solani, co-founder of Lift Lessons. Thank you all for joining us today for this really fun conversation to talk about tech in Windsor-Essex. And we all know that each of us on the line here today, and many watching, in response to this public health crisis that we're all living through, our top priority has been about protecting the health and safety of the public. However, as this continues, the impact on our local economy has certainly been dramatic. The border is closed to all but essential traffic. We know that hundreds of businesses are closed and there are folks on layoff or working from home. Many other businesses operating with reduced staffing and service levels. And without question, these are challenging times. And what we do know is that we all need to take collective action when we receive clearance from public health officials to help rebuild our economy. And in Windsor-Essex, as business and leaders respond, we have already witnessed incredible initiatives from some of our top and our region's most innovative and top innovation companies. And that's not a surprise to me, as we often say, this is where the future begins. Now, the industry leaders joining me are pioneering technology for the challenges of today while producing higher quality goods with more efficiency and providing new opportunities for the future we are all facing. You know, in the best of times, our region is full of success stories from these firms, but in the most difficult of times, I'm certainly proud to see that the local tech innovation sector and cluster is doing what they do best. And there is no doubt that we are all adapting and adjusting to what's going on around the world and locally with the tech cluster that we have, about 6,500 tech workers in the city of Windsor. We've experienced about just over 20% growth in tech talent between 2013 and 2018, and the city has an A- grade for its quality of labor. And so if you look at Commercial Real Estate Services Canada, their research identifies Windsor's top performing drivers as gross occupancy, real estate cost, and tech-related degrees. And so I'd like to join the conversation and bring into this conversation and welcome Yvonne Pilon. Yvonne, thank you for helping bring this great group together today for this conversation and your leadership at WeTech Alliance. And what we know is WeTech, of course, is one of the 17 regional innovation centers in the province of Ontario with a mandate to support tech entrepreneurs and companies at all stages to help create, innovate, and accelerate. So Yvonne, I know you're working with about 200 tech companies and entrepreneurs at all different stages of growth. You're a champion for them, and we're seeing how impactful that work is. I'd like to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I will be very short today because the stories that you're going to hear today are going to be truly inspiring. We'd like to give as much time to our innovators to share their stories. So over the last 50 plus days, we've really seen our regional entrepreneurs pivot, grow, struggle, innovate, and some have paused. So our team at WeTech Alliance, along with our members of the Windsor-Essex COVID-19 Economic Task Force, have really tried our best to work around the clock to keep things as much as business as virtual. So helping support companies and really championing them as best we can during these more turbulent times. So although we're a small team at We Tech Alliance and we're staying home to help flatten that curve, we have and remain committed to supporting our tech entrepreneurs. So just some facts from our end. We've actually seen since March 16, 15 new companies come through our portfolio. So these are new innovative ideas. We've held over 153 virtual client meetings. We've unlocked close to $300,000 in tech perks for our companies. We've donated over 500 3D printed face masks to essential workers in partnership with companies like Pepco and Calcom 3D. And we've even launched new innovative programming to support small businesses with adapting technology, such as the Epic Nimble program and the Digital Shift program. So like many of the companies here today, we ourselves have had to pivot and adapt and innovate. So as you're listening today to these stories, I only hope everyone watching will leave inspired and proud, but also take away these 3 key takeaways. First and foremost, technology is everywhere. It's in every sector, in every household, in every business. So now more than ever, companies and industries are going to be transformed by technology. Number 2, Your Worship, you mentioned it, tech startups will play a critical role in economic development post and pre-COVID. They're a great opportunity for us and they create a lot of jobs. And lastly, and if not most importantly, it is technology that has allowed us to remain connected during this crisis. And it's also been pivotal in facilitating the spread of reliable information. So this pandemic, if it showed us anything, it showed us how vulnerable we are without technology, but also how instrumental it has been to keep us working, learning, healthy, and even entertained. So to all the local innovators on this call, watching in the community, even technology providers, a big, big thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you very much, Yvonne. And tech is even better, as I've come to learn. Tech is even better when you can connect. We can all connect to Zoom, and Zoom can connect to Facebook, and Facebook can connect to the world. And so we're working on making all of that work to get everyone involved here. And I really appreciate all that you're doing. And for those who may not be aware, Yvonne founded her first tech venture at the age of 24. And by the age of 29, she became the youngest woman to lead a regional innovation center. And she brings over a decade of experience in the tech sector with a core focus on growing companies and building a thriving entrepreneurial community. And really in Windsor-Essex, our region is an international hub for automation, with a cluster of over 400 companies involved in engineering, design, and production of cutting-edge advanced manufacturing systems across many sectors. And of course, Mike Sirazadi is here, for the Vice President of Vista Solutions. And Vista Solutions is among a number of Windsor companies that are working on innovative technologies to help keep employees and the public safe via automated cleaning and/or temperature checking solutions. Other local companies are doing this, include Data Realm and Durobyte as well. But Mike is bringing us the automation perspective today. Mike, please take it away.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity of getting the chance to speak with you guys. So, just really quickly, my business partner, I need to thank 2 groups. One, our wives and kids for their patience and understanding as we've had to find 2 and 3 more gears over the last few months. And then the second is the Vista teams in Canada, US, and Mexico, and all the hard work and dedication that's been going on in really bizarre times. So now that I got the Academy salutations out of the way, maybe we can hit the next slide, Dana. Perfect. So today I'm gonna breeze over a little bit about what Vista does, and then talk to you about our BTS inspection system. Next slide, please. So what does Vista do? So we get asked this question quite a lot. We are machine vision specialists. We are in the business of taking digital pictures in the manufacturing space. So we tie digital cameras to computers to make intelligent decisions on things we just took a picture of. So quality control, giving robots the ability to see. So in a nutshell, that's really what we do. We're headquartered in Windsor. We have facilities in Canada, US, and in Mexico. And with digital photography, with photography in general, you can take a picture of anything. So the really cool thing about our business is we have an opportunity to work in all the industries you see at the bottom of the screen: auto, food, pharma, military, aerospace, consumer products. So not only do we have a lot of fun playing with the different gadgets all day, but we get to see, you know, donuts and car parts and sunglasses and things of that sort. So this next slide kind of maybe gives you a little bit better picture of the pictures we take. So those are, it's kind of a collage of different things that we've had to look at or do in the past. So auto, you know, consumer goods, it just gets, it's fun. Next slide, please. So what we embarked on, the journey we embarked on several weeks ago, was to solve an engineering problem. And the engineering problem was, is there a way to check someone's temperature while not having to touch them? And all the homework that we did, you know, 3 months ago indicates that we can leverage and utilize the tools and technologies we use on a daily basis for our industrial needs. So looking at the thermal camera space that, again, we're using in the auto industry or in the metal casting industry, we said to ourselves, well, is there a way for us to utilize this stuff that we do every day and take the temperature of someone? So the homework we did has essentially helped us arrive at the solution that you see on the slide in front of you, in that we are emulating an ISO standard. So the good engineering that we did essentially says, if you want to do this, truly want to do this effectively, you want to do this the best way possible, have the best chance of actually getting a measurement that is meaningful and useful, then the way to do this is to essentially have someone stand in front of a camera, thermal camera, make sure that they're aligned to that thing, and ensure the data that's coming off of you is properly conditioned with a secondary device. Thermal cameras are really sensitive, not necessarily very accurate. And in order to make that happen, you kind of have to condition the data. So there's a lot of noise on the subject these days, and how is the best way to use thermal technology to inspect temperature. And the best way on you as a person is that tear duct, sinus, nose area. And that's the area that we're really honing in on. Then lastly, I wanted to touch on a little bit about, you know, the effects that we've seen in the auto industry, or the automation industry, I should say. So automation, you know, being the design and build of specialty purpose machines, things that machines you would build for a baking process or an automotive process. So Vista does a lot to support the machine build, the automation industry, the end users, the manufacturers. And generally speaking, it's, you know, it's pretty depressed, as we all know, and we just spoke about. You know, a lot of the equipment that is currently in build is frozen in state, or it's significantly pushed back. Depending on the state of it, you know, we are seeing cancellations and large delays, but by and large, we're hoping that, you know, as we start to, you know, get back into the swing of things, that some of these projects, or a lot of these projects, come back to life, and the need, you know, the buyers need, the people that are buying this equipment, that are putting this equipment in, still have the need for it in the first place. So, you know, there's so many unknowns, and, you know, getting back to normality is something that everyone wants, but we're really needing to keep an eye, as a business, Vista's needing to keep an eye on, you know, the border travel. It's huge, you know, regardless of proper visas, how is that going to work? And then logistics, you know, planes, trains, and automobiles, how are we going to get around? Being a service type company, we have to be able to get into the air. We have to be able to travel. So definitely things that we are trying to keep close tabs on, like everybody else.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Mike. And we're hearing from Forbes to expect more jobs and more automation in the post-COVID-19 economy. In fact, Deloitte predicts professional service robot sales may actually grow by close to 40%. So we have many well-respected companies that have started here in Windsor-Essex and expanded internationally. Vista Solutions is one of them. And I'm grateful to you and your entire team for all that you bring to our community. Next up, we're joined by Dr. Philip Ola from Audacia Bioscience, and the use of digital health platforms and virtual care has seen a very rapid increase in consumer adoption. So Green Shield Canada, for example, is working with a Canadian tech company called Maple to provide online access to doctors. Meanwhile, the use of virtual visits for mental health needs has hit record highs. So Dr. Ola is here to share the healthcare perspective with us. Welcome, Philip.
Thank you. Okay, we can, Dina, can you load the slides? Excellent. So as Drew said, my name is Dr. Philip Ola. I'm the co-CEO of Audacia Bioscience. So prior to COVID, we were actually a medical cannabis research company. And we developed a virtual clinical trial platform that allows us to collect data on medical cannabis usage for multiple diseases. And the other thing that we developed was a diagnostic tool that we used to detect the THC levels in edibles and in food and in drinks. And that's really to help people to do something called microdosing. So come along COVID, and that literally put a lot of the projects we were working on to bed. So what we've done is we've taken that same technology base of a virtual clinical trial platform and the same concept of a diagnostic test, and we've applied that to the COVID space. So if let's go to the next slide. So this gives you a quick idea of how we've translated our technology. So the first thing that we did is we developed a self-assessment tool. So what this does, it used our existing app and platform, and it allows you to look at three things: any kind of risk factors you have from a medical point of view, any kind of access to a COVID patient or travel, and then it also looks at some other indicators, and it gives you an assessment level of how likely you are to have COVID. So it gives you a yellow, green, or red indicator. And this app has been downloaded 5,000 times and is being used on a daily basis by some people before they go into work. So that's a really interesting tool that has some value. The next component that we're working on is we're adding a decentralized tracking component to that tool. So this is a tool that passively monitors your distance to other employees. And the idea of the passive monitoring is you don't want it beeping all the time, every time you go near someone. So it just monitors in the background. Every time you go too close to someone, it will keep a tabs of that. And it works indoors and outdoors. And the main purpose of this tool is for two concepts. The first is it allows us to do some compliance on the back end. So people that are constantly in your space might get an email from your HR saying that you need to kind of keep your distance from people in the workspace. But the real benefit is if somebody within the workplace does test positive, one of the challenges at the moment is a lot of places have to close down to avoid the constant transmission. Now, what we would do in this situation, we can just pull a report and it will tell you who that infected person has been in contact with on a day-by-day basis. So you can make a judgment call as to who to put in isolation, keeping the employment place open. So that keeps the business going. And that's one of the most important things around the reopening is being able to keep the employment place, the place of work open and not having to shut down once we get people getting infected, because we will still see infections as we reopen. So we just have to have an intelligent way to identify those new infections and do the isolation. So this is it's an app that we currently have, and we're just building the new pieces onto that. So the next piece that I'm going to talk about is our diagnostic tool. So this is a tool that we've developed in Canada Now, the most important part of this is the fact that all the components for this test, I'll say most of the components for this test, were sourced from Canada. So the idea is to create an antibody test, which we've created, and it works about 95% sensitivity, which is very good. And what it does is it detects whether you have antibodies for COVID-19 in your blood. It works off a finger prick of blood, so it doesn't require lots of volumes of blood, so there's no need to faint if you're scared of blood. What it does is it tells you whether you have two different types of antibodies. One is the IgG, which you would develop you've been exposed for about 2 weeks. So it takes about 2 weeks to develop the IgG antibody. And then it will also indicate the IgM antibody, which is something of a closer infection. So maybe 4 to 5 days, you start developing that antibody. Now, it's very important to mention that this test is very different from the virology test. So this is a serology test, which is a blood-based. The virology test is the test that we're currently using in the hospital, and it's a swab of the throat. So that tells you that you have an active infection. The blood test will tell you that you've had the infection in the past. Now, why is that important? It's important for two reasons. Number one, it gives us an idea of what percentage of the population has been infected with the disease. And this is something that in the States and some other place in the world, we're looking at the herd immunity. So if you have enough people that have been exposed, then it means that you can really reopen. And then the other aspect is if you've had it before, then you won't get it again. So there's an issue of immunity that once you have the antibodies, you could be immune. Now, I do have to warn people that there is no scientific base at the moment that says if you test positive on this, that you would not get an infection again. So we're still waiting to see if having the antibodies means you're immune. And there's no reason to suggest you're not immune, but there's also no reason to say that you are immune. So I will caution against the use of the test as a immunity passport. We're starting some research with the University of Windsor, and we will be studying that. We're doing a longitudinal study using this test to see if people that are positive, if they stay positive for months, weeks, a year, and whether that does offer a level of immunity. So it's something we are studying, but it's very important to understand, who has had the disease without showing symptoms, because what we're realizing is that most people that do get COVID-19 don't actually have symptoms. So we need to know what that currently looks like. And this is the test that we've developed with a lot of partners in Canada that gives us that level of detail. The other thing that we're doing with this test is we're creating the concept of a smart test. So it's mobile enabled. So our app, the VCT app, will be able to scan the test and put that data into a virtual platform, so we can analyze based on location where you live, where they took the test. We can also take some demographic information as well, and we can share that data with Health Canada and with the governments in the state governments in the US as well. On the regulatory side, no antibody test has actually been approved in Canada at the moment. We do have the FDA application in, and we're talking very closely with the FDA about when the test can be launched over in the States, and we're having some really good conversations. Health Canada is still looking at when they will allow antibody testing. They're looking at what are the different use cases for antibody testing. In the States, they're a lot more open to this. President Trump even had himself with an antibody test showing how important it was. So over the next couple of weeks, we will be starting back to work programs in the States where we will be taking a mobile health unit to the workplaces, and we will be doing some survey testing with the test and taking some health information as well. So that is happening in the States. We're also doing a clinical trial at Henry Ford, where we're collecting some great data about the performance of the test. So that's the antibody test. So the antibody test, along with the virtual platform, is going to provide us with some great insight into not only the immunity level of the population, but to what extent of the population has been exposed to COVID-19. That's going to be some great data that we get back there, which is going to be very useful for policy. Okay, so that's my my little spiel, and thank you for listening.
Great, thank you very much, Dr. Ola. And without a doubt, as people continue to want quick COVID testing results, and of course, a self-assessment results, of course, that remains an important tool. I think the things that you are working on are going to be very, very vital moving forward. Next, we're going to hear from Frank Abruzese, who is the president of AlphaCore Group, and they provide IT and cybersecurity, as well as many other things, but he's going to offer the IT and cybersecurity perspective to the conversation. And just to kick it off, Frank, you'll recognize that Canadians have lost more than $1.2 million already in COVID-19 scams. Meanwhile, a Gartner survey found that 74% of companies plan to permanently shift to more remote work post-COVID-19. And just given the sheer volume of people working remotely, it's no surprise to see that the platform that we're on, Zoom and WebEx and Teams and all sorts of different online platforms and video and chat platforms certainly are experiencing explosive growth. And with that growth, of course, comes an increased risk. So thanks, thank you, Frank, for joining us and for walking us through some of the IT and cybersecurity perspectives.
Well, thank you, Mayor Dilkens. I'm glad to be here. And you are right, we're going to talk about two areas, technology, working from home, and we'll also get into cybersecurity, some of the things that you mentioned. So thank you for that introduction. So AlphaCore, we're actually really proud to be celebrating just over 25 years here in Windsor-Essex. The community, the business community has supported us over the years, and we are very grateful to you. At AlphaCore, what we've created is a culture where we actually care about everyone, not just the business side of it and our team, but our loved ones out there in our nonprofit and the community in general. So we've worked hard to ensure that we're supporting everyone, especially during this time. Locally here in the tech sector, it's exciting to have the organization WeTech, Yvonne and her team leading us. And one thing we've done with the organization is we've started the Tech CEO virtual meetings once a week. So those are exciting to bring us together in the community in a virtual environment, and we're also using Zoom. In the tech sector here locally, we've been responding to a lot of demand from our clients. And some of our peers, such as Next Dimension here in the city, they just hired some staff and they're actually looking at hiring some more. Just like AlphaCore, we're actually looking for some new staff to hire as we continue to grow. And in my peer group, Coulter Software, you mentioned Data Realm, iDream Interactive, Red Piston, we have Brian from Splice. We're all working on multiple projects, ensuring that we're keeping all organizations and businesses running locally and abroad. So very proud to be part of this tech sector. So AlphaCore, if we can head to the next slide, we had a pivot overnight, like everyone else. So probably about 6 weeks ago, mid-March, we had to send over 50 people home and figure out overnight, even though we're in technology, is how we're going to get our entire team to work from home. So we developed a work from home policy. Make sure we add that to our policies and procedures so everybody had the proper guidelines on what to be doing. We looked at critical on-site at first, and then we took a look at what are the proper procedures and processes we can put in place to ensure that we can take care of all those that require any technology. As you can imagine, everybody overnight went home and they had some challenges with their equipment at home, bringing equipment home. So we wanted to figure out, besides remote and phone call, how we could actually get our team safely out at the premises of homes and businesses. So we're very excited to be able to do that overnight. And it's been a continuous steady stream of business with everyone having a workload every day, and our turnaround has been same day, next day. So we're proud to report that we're being leaned on, and happy that we could help everyone out there. One of the things that we did several weeks ago was able to find 500 of the face masks that respiratory ones that we donated to Windsor Regional Hospital. So we're proud to give back to the community. So if we can head over to the next slide. I want to ask everyone that's tuning in, how does your home office look and your remote working going? So this has become acceptable today. It's no longer we can just say, hey, I just started doing this. It's pretty well a steady state right now in dealing with some of the challenges of the home office. So if we go to the next slide, the novelty is now worn off where we're doing business as usual. So one thing we need to look at is equipment. Is the equipment being brought from work, and how's that working at home, or you're using your home devices? So at home, you have to really take a look at your wireless. Is it open? I'm sure everybody has put a password on by now. I'd strongly recommend updating all your passwords on a regular basis. All your family and friends that used to visit, do they have all your old passwords? So keep in mind you want to update those and keep them regular. Your internet speed, most of us have noticed that there's been a heavy load overnight on internet speed and some challenges in some of the video conferencing that we're on. Talk to your internet service providers. We have a lot of great ones locally that can help. And talk to them if there's a faster service. Talk to your technology team to see if there's any products that you can implement at home or at the office to help with the throughput with your internet when you're connecting. Your data, really important piece for all companies today. How are you accessing this data? Where are you saving it? Are you saving it on your home computer? Are you saving it in the cloud? Are you saving it on your office network? So you really need to know what data that your team is accessing. Where is it being saved? Where is it being backed up? So very important to work and find the right technology that's going to work for your company as we've made this shift to a remote workforce. Mayor mentioned several video conferencing software programs out there. So we're using Zoom in this case, multiple conversations. We do a lot of interactive Zoom video conferencing. Internally, we're using Microsoft Teams. I mentioned that one as well. So Teams is a nice product when we're on Microsoft Office 365 in the cloud. If your organization hasn't looked at that as an option, it should be a conversation to consider as we continue to move forward. And as a Cisco partner, we do provide WebEx as well as another option. One thing that we've done lately is we've been able to help a number of companies and organizations hold virtual annual general meetings, AGMs, if you will, and staff meetings and their management meetings. We hold ours every morning here internally with the corporate team, and I know the tech team has theirs on a regular basis. So this is a new virtual service that has happened out of this crisis where the AGMs are going live. We still have to continue to have them as organizations are mandated. So we're helping with the technology, how to set them up, be in their backup in case things do go wrong. We want to be there to help to ensure that we're able to run an electronic virtual annual general meeting. The virtual projects planning and implementation has been pretty exciting. We used to meet face-to-face at a lot of planning meetings. A lot of managers would come out. So now what we're doing is we're doing them on virtual. I wanted to share an example of a company where they were challenged because their entire management team is working from home. So we did virtual planning. We had drawings of a brand new build. They're in the agri space. So they're building new greenhouses abroad. And what we're doing is putting the whole planning together virtually. We're doing full turnkey like we've done in the past where procurement product comes in at AlphaCore. We prep everything for them. Everything is drop shipped to the far away. And then we provide, usually we would send a technician out and fly them down to the location where that's not going to happen today. So another pivot is we've been able to do color-coded diagrams with color-coded cables and use some of the video conferencing to help them unpack the equipment, plug it all in properly, and be able to get up and running when we take over remotely. And then we provide the remote support on an ongoing basis with our managed services, for example. That's been pretty shift for us in terms of dealing with that. It's a lot easier sitting at a board table, if you will. So we've adjusted our protocols and how we're doing things today. If we can go on to the next slide. Thanks, Dana. Staying cyber healthy. So with this virus going on, very important that we take a look at everything that we're doing. So if we can maybe head to the next slide. I want to talk a little bit about ransomware. As mentioned, ransomware is on the rise, and for those of us that haven't seen or been aware, ransomware, when you walk into your computer system, usually on a company network, and someone has hijacked the system. You don't have access to anything, and they're demanding a ransom, some money to pay to get your data back up and running. So a lot of our conversations have been proactive in the past, and right now we're having a lot of proactive business planning, business strategy, where what should be in place, what should we be thinking about in terms of protecting our company from a ransomware attack. Paying the ransom doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get your data. A lot of times there's a delay in the communication because these are not professional business individuals like us on the call and watching today. So they're not service oriented, they're not responding quickly. So a day or two might go by before they answer any questions. So negotiating with them is just a big no-no. There are phishing schemes out there, many of them, and the COVID unfortunately has introduced a number of them asking for money. One of the common ones that we run into is gift cards. You get an email from supposedly your boss. Can you go down and pick up these gift cards, go to this site, use your credit card, we'll reimburse you. So if your boss normally doesn't ask you that, you should probably put your thinking hat on and say, hey, did my boss ask me this? Does this seem normal? Not really sure. So ask questions. I think one thing that we've learned in terms of all of us looking at health and safety is, how do we slow down? How do we ask more questions? How are we a little bit more careful? So I think our guard needs to be up on every email. Because just because it comes in and says Frank Abertazzi doesn't mean it came in from Frank Abertazzi. It could have came in from, you know, johnny@scamming.you.com. So really take a look at the sender. Who's sending you the message? So our conversations have become business continuity. So how does a business put a plan in place to deal with all this? To deal with remote overnight, to deal with a ransomware possible attack, to deal with a fire or a flood or any other type of disaster. So we're working together and we're helping a lot of companies talking about this in terms of putting some measures in place to help. There's a lot of cybersecurity tools out there, your antiviruses, your anti-spam. There's tools that will watch for phishing schemes. We have something called Cisco Umbrella, for example. We have firewalls. It goes on and on and on and get very technical, but we'll pass on the technical talk today. One thing I do want to share that's really important for some of the people that have hit with ransomware is they have insurance. If you don't have any cyber insurance, please check with your insurance people, have a conversation, find out what's available, find out what packages would fit for you. We're here as a free source to help and to provide advice as well on that. It's a tough conversation. You might think that you're not subject to attack. The bad news is we're all subject to attack, whether we're big, small, high profile, low profile. It's a random act. That's something that we all need to definitely be aware of. We did mention Cisco, and Cisco Canada has offered to help municipalities and public sector. So we reached out to them. They said if the city of Windsor and Windsor-Essex needs any help at all in terms of anything that Cisco can do in terms of their platform, and as a partner of theirs, we'd be happy to work together with you. So if there's anything, just get in touch with us. And Zoom bombing, unfortunately, is a thing. So especially with Zoom, get the paid account. It's very inexpensive. It's $20 a month. Look at if you're going to use Zoom as one of the tools. Look at the participants. Get your waiting room. You know, make sure you know who's coming in on the call. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we do have interactive free webinars that we do run on any subject, lunch and learn on how to help with phishing schemes. We're doing virtual lunches. Again, Alpha Core, we want to give back. We want to help everyone get through this the best we can. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Frank. And for those of you who don't know Frank, he's a University of Windsor alumni. He's a small business mentor, a recipient of multiple tech recognition awards in the community, and we really value your input, Frank, and your leadership at this time. I also want to take the opportunity on behalf of everyone on this call to congratulate you and the company on 25 years in business. That's quite an accomplishment, and there's no doubt you reached that from excellent customer service to your clients and hard work as well. So congratulations to you and Alpha Core. Next up is Dan Circelli from Connecting Windsor-Essex, and I think many of us have been sitting at home, doing what we're told to do, self-isolate, social distance, stay home, stay inside. And Netflix, the company Netflix, had the best quarter in its history because of the pandemic. Now, the streaming company thought that it would add 7 million subscribers. In fact, the global pandemic gave it 16 million subscribers. And so if you've ever wondered how Netflix works, there's a company in Windsor called MNSI Telecom, and they proudly host the local Windsor servers for Netflix. And with most of the movie content, and frankly, all of the content from Netflix and their television catalog available from the 2 servers locally, and having the local servers, and I've seen them with my own eyes, working very, very hard, having those local servers helps make Netflix stream faster and brings better quality to your home or your computer. So I thought it would be great to have Dan with us today, who's going to provide a connectivity perspective for the discussion. Dan?
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation to participate. Do you have the slide up, Dana? Thought I'd start with just a quick introduction to who is Connecting Windsor-Essex and what we do, what we represent. So we're an organization, much like Frank's. We've been around for over 25 years, and our core function is to provide a very high quality, sustainable, and functional fiber optic network to our group of stakeholders, and you can see them imaged here on this slide. And basically what that means is that every municipal office, every county library, elementary and secondary school, as well as the City of Windsor, the University of Windsor, and St. Clair College is all connected. And proudly, we are governed by our board of directors, and our board of directors is made up of members of every one of our organizations, and you can see them all listed here. And the mission of Connecting Windsor-Essex is to collaborate with organizations like everyone here that's on this call today and industry in the Windsor-Essex region in an effort to make Windsor-Essex the chosen place to live, learn, work, and play. And Dana, if you could move to the next slide. So I see that coming up. It looks a little slow, but I'll start speaking to it anyway. So as I mentioned, a number of our stakeholders are from the educational sector. And as we've all experienced, we've been asked to stay at home. And I think we're doing a phenomenal job of that in our region. And so that's a pretty dramatic change in the educational sector. You've got all of these students that are now being asked to learn from home. You've got educators that are now being asked to work and operate from home. And there's many families in our region that have adequate and exceptional access to connectivity, but there's still many rural and even some residential areas across our region that don't meet the CRTC guidelines, and they have inadequate connectivity. So, you know, we immediately got together with our school boards, with the university and the college and said, okay, hey, listen, we're going to need to do something for those that are in underserved areas and also our underprivileged families. How do we get these people connected so that these students can maintain their studies? And so we've established really great relationships with our carriers so that we were able to get on the phone with them and explain the situation. Again, and our situation wasn't unique. This is going on, as we know, all around the world. And we asked them, listen, we need to do something. We need to do something in short order. And, you know, we're not looking to sign lengthy agreements. How do we get some short-term products and services and get these things rolled out to these people And they had to operate with all the same physical distancing guidelines that everyone's being asked to operate with. And we're really proud of the hard work they've done. And the result is we've been able to connect over 300 families with students to help them stay connected and continue with their studies. So we're really proud of the work that our carriers, really innovative work that they put together and supported our region. Dana, if you could move to the next slide. I think something that's important to also recognize is that Windsor-Essex has been, is a intelligent community, and we've been known to be an intelligent community around the world since 2011. We qualified as a top 7 intelligent community. And as a result of that, we are members of the Intelligent Community Forum. CWE sits on the Canadian chapter of the Board of Directors. And what that means to us is we have access to speaking to other intelligent community members around the world. And so we've been in discussions with those other intelligent communities to understand from them what are they doing and how are they working and being innovative to manage through this pandemic. And of course, we plan on presenting a full report of those efforts around the world to our board of directors and hopefully to other agencies in our region. Dana, if we could go to the next slide. So in closing, I do want to take a minute to say thank you to all of the essential workers and frontline workers that are doing the great things that they're doing, that's allowing many people to stay safe at home and to take care of those that are in need of care. And I would be remiss if I didn't say a thank you to all the incredible educators out there. You know, I have firsthand experience in this. I've got 2 children in school that are maintaining their studies online. Of course, they wish they didn't have to be. They're no different than many other students, but they're doing a great job of maintaining what they have to do. Myself, as an educator at the college, it's been an interesting learning curve. I'd much rather be in front of my students. I miss them, but they did a great job participating to complete their studies that they needed to complete. And my wife is also an educator, and she's doing the best that she can do to stay connected with all of her students, and I know that they really appreciate it. Again, thank you very much for allowing me to participate and speak on the work that Connecting Windsor-Essex is doing.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you to you and the entire team at Connecting Windsor-Essex. I know you're in your 26th year, and I know you work, the whole team works very, very hard to support the development and sharing of innovative solutions, and thank you for that. And thank you for your commitment to building the extensive high-speed fiber optic network that helps us bring that world-class connectivity to several of our region's leading institutions, including our own corporation of the City of Windsor. So we'll switch gears now. We'll be looking at e-commerce, and Instacart saw an approximate increase of 650% in new users in the US between March and April alone. And over the past 2 weeks alone, digital share of merchants' revenues has nearly doubled. We're also seeing a dramatic growth in online sales per different sectors from this same time last year, the same time period, in places such as furniture, home decor, clothing, sporting goods, household appliances. I mean, I read a story recently on Etsy on how they're just killing it. It's incredible to see the shift online. And of course, we always encourage people to shop local. And what that means is we have to get ready to help them do that and make sure we're connecting the businesses here to be able to get in that supply chain to sell their products locally and globally. And so the pandemic and the stay-at-home requirements have certainly driven that unprecedented growth for e-commerce. And Brian Hendel from Splice Digital is here with an update on the e-commerce and digital adoption perspective. Welcome, Brian.
Brian, please make sure to unmute your microphone there before you continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Dilkens. Yeah, you're right. Huge push for e-com. And one of the areas that currently really hasn't been focused on is local. So we're developing something in that area that I want to talk about. If you could put up our slides here. So again, I'm the president of Splice Digital. We are a digital product innovation company really that focuses on user experience first. We've been in Windsor for about 15 years. We employ in Windsor, but we really bring projects from all over most of the United States and Canada. So we're active in Silicon Valley, and we're bringing clients to Windsor like Atari, Puma, Philips, Microsoft, Western Digital, and we're executing projects here that normally wouldn't exist here in this local economy. So in the midst of all this this economic strife that everybody's suffering through, we see major opportunity. So there are changes in the market that we want to capitalize on and try to empower vendors in a way that they don't currently feel empowered by. So we've actually been busier now than we ever have been. We're all working from home, and it's been a great transition. You know, it hasn't really affected us in a negative way significantly as a business. So I want to talk about two new businesses that we're springing forth in the midst of this COVID crisis, actually. And I think both have local appeal. So can you give me the next slide, please? So we are building a web and mobile product for the greenhouse industry called IPM Scoutek. And as you can see, it's very, very visual, very user experience focused. We are helping greenhouses monitor pests and diseases, reduce the amount of pesticide use, which is a big deal right now, track beneficial insect populations, making sure that they have the right quantities of the good bugs eating the bad bugs. And greenhouses can suffer up to 40% crop loss due to pests. So that's enormous. So talk about world hunger, a lot of produce is being just gone to waste because of bugs and diseases. So we've developed a platform used by staff in greenhouses to track and monitor and take action against these bugs. So especially during the COVID crisis, greenhouses are lacking the staff that they're normally used to having access to. So visibility in the greenhouse right now is especially important. So we've built really a best-in-class product that you know, I have to say shamelessly, kicks the butt of everything else that's out on the market. And we built it right here in Windsor, which we're really proud of. We got the North America's greenhouse capital in our backyard. So we've been very close to OMAFRA, which is a governmental organization, and individual greenhouses to make sure that we build something that works for them. And so far, they absolutely love it. So we just got out of beta. We sold our first contract yesterday. So we're literally we're literally revenue positive. And the goal is to get this thing global. So we have ambitions to go to Spain, which is where most of the greenhouses are, and get this product out to the world, but keep it based here in Windsor. So if you could jump to the next slide, please. So that's one of the initiatives we have going on in parallel with our main core business. The second is we've really been hearing a lot, especially during the COVID crisis, of we want to buy local. We want a vector through which we can access local vendors, but there doesn't seem to be one that exists. So right now it's easy to access a global marketplace, Amazon, Etsy, but how do you do this similarly in a local economy like Windsor? So right now you're calling individual vendors, you're giving your credit card information over the phone. They're probably writing it down on a piece of paper. You hope that's going to get shredded and put in the garbage. But there's rarely a really good web presence. So why not? Well, vendors, usually small vendors, are too busy to build their own site. It's too expensive to build your own site, and then you have to still market your individual e-commerce experience. So next slide, if you could, please. So we've decided to build a fast-to-market e-commerce platform for municipalities like Windsor-Essex, Kingsville, Leamington, bringing those vendors together into one unified e-commerce marketplace to empower these vendors. So free to join, we removed all the friction, free to post products, and now you're shopping for local products in a marketplace that's just local products. So if you want to find Robbie sausage, for instance, buy some andouille sausage to make your gumbo, you're also going to see, local home decor vendors. You're going to see unique products that you didn't even know existed are now being bubbled up and brought to the surface. And these vendors who couldn't really at scale deliver an online shopping platform can now, they've got a shopping cart, they've got secure credit card transactions. We handle the multi-vendor fulfillment component. And using partners like Stripe, we can guarantee security of those credit card transactions without having to worry that these are all small vendors. So the goal is to reduce friction down to zero, make it a no-brainer for local vendors to join. We are launching this product in a couple of weeks. So whereas IPM Scoutek took 1.5 years to build, we're expediting this thing in like 3 to 4 weeks to get a product to market super, super fast. And we've already had interest from some local initiatives who want to be part of this thing and sponsor it and potentially maybe acquire it. So we're making traction pretty quick. And if you're interested, if you're a vendor interested, go to shopmytown.ca. We're looking for shortlisted, really, really strong local vendors to start this thing off when we launch in about 2 weeks. And then hopefully you'll hear from us to start bringing in customers. Next slide, if you could, please. So where do we go from here? I mean, we're like I said, we build new products and services. We have the core business, but we want to spin up new initiatives, new ventures that have both Windsor, but also international appeal. So Shop My Town is just one of those. So if you're a vendor, please hop on the site and request more information. We're going to be live fairly shortly. And if you have a digital product idea, something you've been stewing that you're looking for a partner to help ideate and design and bring to market, that's what we do on an international scale. So reach out to us at Splice Digital, and we'd be happy to chat. So thank you. Oh, and especially thank you to the frontline workers, the nurses. It's incredible the work you're doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brian. The stuff you're talking about sounds very, very exciting. And when we look at some of the numbers here, about 38% of consumers are now seeing contactless as a basic need or a feature of payments and payment processes. And that is up from by about 30% from a year ago. So locally, Hash Abu Hassan, founder of Edison Financial, has said he expects his company will see some amazing growth, or they want to hire 40 team members in Windsor by the end of 2020 and plans on tripling that growth by the end of 2021. And so with us today, we have Baka Murdita. He's the Vice President of Market Development for Edison. He says the company is still hiring. The new team members are undergoing a virtual training program and onboarding. And Baka is here to provide a fintech perspective on our discussion today. Baka, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to everyone who's spoken so far. Watching everything you guys are building is extremely inspiring for a new company who's just jumping into the waters here in Windsor. So, Dana, if you could hit the slide for me, I'd greatly appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much. So as the Mayor mentioned, Edison Financial. And it's important to talk about who we are, because we are new to a lot of the folks who maybe missed some of our write-ups in WeTech and the Windsor Star. But we are a digital mortgage company. We're located downtown Windsor, actually right on Chatham Street. Some of you are probably looking at this building right now thinking that's the old fish market. Others are looking at it as some old bars, depending on your generation. But we have revamped the building, and it's a beautiful building. In fact, we're currently occupying the first floor, which you'll see in my background here is what that looks like. And hopefully we can get some of you in there in the near future once all this COVID stuff settles down. But we are there with our team members operating full time right up for about 3 weeks until we had to abandon our space. And we pivoted to a full work from home model, which has actually been fantastic so far. It's important to know that we received our seed funding from Rock Holdings. Rock Holdings is actually the parent company of Quicken Loans, which is located in downtown Detroit. For anyone who has followed the Detroit model of growing from the city first and creating jobs and creating housing and creating opportunity, that is what we hope to accomplish here in Windsor, and we have very, very big dreams of doing so. We are partnered with a company called Lendesk Technologies based out of Vancouver. Lendesk is also a Rock Holdings company, and we are working through technology solutions to advance the technology in the mortgage space to create a better consumer experience here in Canada as far as getting a mortgage goes. And Dana, if you could take us to the next slide, please. So the next piece that I want to talk to you is just about the digital mortgage process. A lot of times people ask, what does that even mean, right? I think that you take what we're currently used to as consumers, and we take when you think about a mortgage, you think about walking into a bank, or you think about walking into a mortgage broker's office, and we flip that on its head, and our business model works really well for COVID. It's a terrible, terrible situation. What's happened to a lot of people and businesses, and the situation has put people in. However, when you look at the way we're built, this is very COVID compliant. It's changed the way that banks and others have to operate, but we have really not had to shift much, with the exception of not being able to see our team members in person every day. How it works is you go to edisonfinancial.ca. From there, you fill out a little bit of information about yourself and information about your mortgage. You'll receive a call from a licensed mortgage agent. They're going to talk to you about your goals. They're going to go through what programs you may qualify for. And we will actually utilize Lendesk technology to sort through different mortgage lenders, different programs that those lenders offer, different policies, because as we know, not everyone's situation is exactly the same in terms of what they want to accomplish for theirs and their family's financial needs, which is very top of mind right now. It's important to know that all supporting documentation and anything that you're signing electronically is handled through a digital platform, which is extremely secure. In fact, it's even more secure than if you were to put that information on paper, as Frank mentioned earlier, and leave it sitting on someone's desk. And really, we're taking that information, we're storing it within a cloud, and that allows us to keep our records clean. And it's all done through a technology platform, and nothing is being sorted out into paper. And that's a really important thing to know as well. So if we could go to the next slide here. This is the part I'm most excited about, and really what has me a part of Edison Financial today, being a part of the community, is the fact that we're hiring. And it's a sensitive topic right now, so I say this with a little bit of reservation, but a lot of people are going through some very tough times. Reduced work hours, as the mayor mentioned, maybe job loss as a whole, right? We know what the unemployment numbers are looking like right now, but we are trying to provide opportunity in Windsor, and that's the message, if anything, that I want to bring through on this conversation, is that we are going to need great people. No matter what we do, in order to build this business, we will need great people. We will need the support of this community. We're looking for mortgage agents, processors, office staff, software developers. And if you don't have the direct mortgage experience because you haven't been in this industry for years, we want you to know that that's okay too. We have training and development programs in place. What's funny about that is we built an entire training and development program that we were going to get into our office and we were going to train. Well, shortly after, in fact, just a couple of weeks, we had to pivot to a full virtual training program for all of our employees. And we're already onboarding people that we've never actually shaken hands with. We've never met them in an office before. And it's extremely interesting, but we're feeling as connected as ever because we're truly face-to-face on a daily basis through services like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and some of the others that we can connect with each other on. But we're here to support the community. If finances are on your mind, which they should be right now, then your mortgage is likely a big piece of that. It's probably a great time to take a look and make sure that you're getting the best deal on your mortgage and that you're keeping your mortgage local. And you could do so by going to edisonfinancial.ca, or if you're interested in a position within the company, go to support@edisonfinancial.ca, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much, Backman. It's exciting to have you here and to see what you're doing in downtown Windsor. And, for those watching, you may have thought at the time when we joined forces with the city of Detroit on the Amazon HQ2 bid that, I heard people say, oh, well, you have no chance, nothing's going to happen. But one of the great byproducts from that collaboration with Dan Gilbert and the team over in Detroit was a phone call where Dan said, Drew, why am I not doing what we proposed to Amazon? And that led to him opening the building in downtown Windsor that you're sitting in right now, Backham. Originally the folks that were there were supporting the U.S. business, but we knew that there was opportunity. There is opportunity here in Canada. So it's great to see you and your team and hiring a team that's going to take advantage of that and put some great skills to work here in the city of Windsor. So thank you very much for joining us. We're going to go and turn things over to education now. And it's fair to say that globally, over 1.2 billion children are out of the classroom right now. And families are certainly doing their best to provide an education to their kids at this time. They're doing that working around their own work from home setups and certainly facing the financial stress and uncertainty that we're all working through currently. So we know that teachers are facing that new reality of needing to prepare and provide content online for students and of course to monitor the progress remotely. So in many cases, navigating the educational needs of their own children at the same time. And it's difficult to do both, but they're figuring out how to do it, at least in the short term here. And to discuss the ed tech perspective, I'll turn things over to our final panelist. That's Andrea Solani, and she is the co-founder of Lift Lessons. Thanks for being here, Andrea.
Thank you very much, Mayor Dilkens and We Tech Alliance for this amazing opportunity to take part in this fantastic event. It's been so inspiring to hear about all of the innovation occurring within our local community. Dana, it would be amazing if you could start the first slide for us. Thank you so much. The current pandemic has had far-reaching impacts within education. Teachers, students, and families worldwide are working so hard to ensure that learning continues despite all of the challenges that families are facing as a result of COVID. We've heard from so many families seeking learning resources for home to allow parents to continue with essential work, remote work, or to navigate difficult economic implications of the pandemic. This is especially true for students and families who are already facing challenges within education due to special educational needs or other barriers to learning or education that so many young people are bravely facing. It's more important than ever that young people around the world can continue to learn about science and technology at this time so that they can go on to become our future leaders, scientists, and change makers, helping society to address its future challenges. Our company, Lift Lessons, is passionate about supporting all students and families during this time by providing free access to all of our science vocabulary resources. We are driven to help young people develop and expand their curiosity and excitement about science. We hope to inspire young people to start their journey into careers in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to help diversify our workforce. Lift Lessons started in a classroom in London, England, where my co-founder Caroline Shaw and I were both working as teachers. While working with an incredible group of students, we saw two important things that shaped our company. We saw how passionate and skilled young people were with technology. They could use most computer programs better than us as educators. We also learned the importance of understanding vocabulary, as literacy is one of the biggest predictors of academic success and employment prospects. If you could advance to the next slide, that would be great, thank you. And as much as we miss the amazing students we used to teach every day, Caroline and I decided to make a big leap and create Lift Lessons. Lift Lessons creates animated videos and digital resources to empower students with the language for learning. Our resources can be used by students from 6 to 14 years of age, and older students who would benefit the most are those who would gain from extra support with literacy or who might have additional learning needs. All of our resources are designed to digitize evidence-based strategies that work in the classroom to support independent learning. We have also recently conducted an impact study with University College London, where students made a 38% gain in progress after using our resources for only 2 weeks. We've recently made a huge pivot as a result of the global pandemic, and we adapted a platform we were developing for educators, and we launched it early and for free and directly to parents and families to try and support with the current pandemic. And if we could advance to the next slide, please. We were very fortunate to have developed partnerships with some inspirational collaborators along the way, including the team at We Tech Alliance. All of their guidance, advice, and support has helped us to bring our dream to life. Lift Lessons is built on collaboration, and we're very grateful to everyone who has supported us in taking us from an idea to launch over the past year, especially our team and our families. We're so proud that less than 6 weeks after our launch to parents, Lift Lessons is already being used in 22 countries around the world. One of the things that Caroline and I are most passionate about is operating our company as a social enterprise and ensuring that the majority of our future profits will be dedicated to providing free global access to all of our resources. We also want to provide inclusive training and work experience opportunities, which positively welcome young people with learning differences. Caroline and I are very excited about the potential of opening a work experience and training center in downtown Windsor or in Ford City. Windsor-Essex is my home, and I'm very proud to have grown up in the region. The generosity of the time and spirit of our local community has helped to form the foundation on which our company was built. Although I've lived abroad for most of the last 10 years, Windsor will always be where my home and heart remain. We really feel that Windsor has been the best place in the world to launch our business at this time, and the support of WeTech Alliance has helped us to transform our dreams of what our company could become. We look forward to continuing to expand our team within the talented local community. The changes to education and throughout society as a result of this pandemic will likely be long-standing. And we believe that digital education, working alongside all of the amazing and passionate teachers around the world, has the potential to make education a more equitable and personalized learning experience for students everywhere. Just want to say thank you so much to all of our amazing teachers and healthcare workers and essential workers around the world, and thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being here, Andrea. And you know, we've read some research that suggests that on average, students retain 25 to 60% more material when learning online compared to only 8 to 10% in a classroom. And that's mostly due to the students being able to learn faster online. It requires less time to learn online than a traditional classroom setting. And of course, they can learn at their own pace, go back and reread and skip material that they may already know. And we know that there are pros and cons of both delivery methods, but we also know that not every structure will suit the unique needs of every student. So thank you for what you're doing. And certainly, you know, the best advice that I'm sure you would have and I would have to families and teachers right now is just to be patient. Be patient with yourselves, with each other, and of course, mostly with those young learners at home. You know, I know that no one is feeling fully comfortable with everything that's coming at us right now. But we are definitely blessed to have local tech firms looking at making a positive impact on all of those navigating this new world of learning at home. And we've thrown a lot of stuff at you today and a lot of updates in this particular Zoom call. And just before we take media questions, I want to take a moment to thank each of the panelists for joining us, everyone who's on the line today for sharing their unique perspectives on how the local tech sector is stepping up and innovating at this critical time. And certainly the work that you're all doing is very much indicative of the can-do, the will-do spirit, that Windsor spirit that I have long admired. And I heard it even in the voice of Andrea at the very, very end, how proud you are of your community. And I know Frank, being in business 25 years, and everyone in between, you're all doing great work. I appreciate all that you're doing. Each and every one of your efforts is appreciated. And we know that we'll have cumulatively a big impact on our economy, our community, and we'll keep that Windsor spirit going. So thank you very much for being here. I will turn the floor over to Dana now to take any questions that members of our media may have. Dana?
Thanks, Mayor Dilkens. Thank you very much for that. And well done, everyone. We have a question coming from Chris Ensing with CBC. Chris asks, about 30% of people in the Windsor-Essex area don't have access to reliable internet. And what can be done?
I don't mind answering that question if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Dan.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the question. And Connecting Windsor-Essex works very hard, as I mentioned earlier, with the carriers that we have. And over the last 5 years, we've seen a tremendous amount of growth in quality broadband being made available throughout the various communities and again across the region. In the past, we've only had a particular incumbent with fiber optics available, and now we've got 4 different carriers vying for competitive business. And so we continue to work with them to try to help them build their business cases to extend throughout the entire region. So we're exploring any opportunity and trying to present opportunities. We also work with our wireless carriers in the region, and TELUS is a fantastic partner for us. They've made investments in our region and intend to have a 5G network in the downtown area. They're targeting to have that available to us by the end of 2020, and have also made investments in our college and our university to set up 5G labs. So that's a really long answer to say we're working very diligently to try to bring the proper services to everyone. And we participate with government programs known as SWIFT as well. So stay tuned.
Thanks for that, Dan, and thank you, Chris, for the question. Media, any additional questions, please? Take this time to enter your question into the Zoom chat or to raise your hand. Chris has a follow-up question. Chris Ensing again from CBC. Chris, I'm going to enable your microphone. Go ahead, you're ready to speak. Oh, sorry, Chris, you'll have to.
Okay, all right, there.
You're set now.
Oh, okay, it's actually Dale Molnar. It's the way our system is set up. It's Chris Ensing's email. Anyway, I just wondered if anyone has been noticing a uptick in business because of COVID-19.
I can speak to that here on behalf of Edison Financial. I could say that we have two sectors of our business. One of them is the purchase side of the business, which is buying and selling homes, and the other side of that business is refinancing and transfers of mortgages or mortgage renewals. On the refinance side, we're seeing a tremendous spike in our business, and obviously it's because finances are becoming top of mind for people, as I mentioned earlier. So a lot of people are trying to restructure the way their finances look, perhaps pay off some debts to better position their cash flow on a month-to-month basis. And then also, a lot of people leave their mortgage on a long to-do list, right? We're very, very busy. We're driving to an office or wherever our workplace is every single day. And mortgages don't usually coincide with that schedule when a bank is open from 8 to 6 or whatever time the local bank or credit union closes. Well, we are open basically all the time. So you can really get a hold of us at any point. So people are choosing a different source to take care of a need that they have, and the online model works really well for that. There's definitely a sore spot on the purchase side of the business. Buying and selling real estate has not been easy, so my heart goes out to anyone affected by that. I know I'm speaking with real estate agents and friends of mine in the real estate industry, and they've had to adjust their business models, and some are seeing tremendous success with virtual showings and things like that, but the numbers are going to be coming out and released month over month, and I think not a lot of it will be a surprise that the purchase and buying and selling has slowed down. However, the pricing of homes has not gone down. So just keep that in mind that, how we're looking at houses has slowed down. But when we get out of this, we're expecting a very strong housing market.
Would anyone else like to address Dale's question?
I can make a quick comment just based on what we've seen with the inspection system we've created. We track very closely the opportunities, the requests that come in from customers on a daily basis, and naturally we saw in March a drop. But as we rolled out this device, this solution, we saw off the average an increase of 50% interest. So it's been pretty rewarding just to see that take place. So it's been a lot of fun.
And Frank, you wanted to speak?
It's very similar to Mike in terms of volume of service tickets went up exponentially the first 2 weeks. It was over triple in terms of reacting. And in the last 4 weeks, it's still more of double of what it was a year ago in terms of number of service tickets to help everybody. So there's different type of challenges going on, but cross sector, all different sectors have reached out to us to help them in one shape or form. So we've seen a very steady increase in service tickets.
And Dale, maybe I'll just make a quick comment on the entrepreneurial side. Again, even though we're in lockdown, we've seen in the last month or so 15 new innovations come through our pipeline. So it's not only existing businesses that are doing well here on this call, but we have new innovations that are coming through our pipeline. So that's, I think, a very promising thing as well.
Ola, did you want to speak to that as well? I see your microphone's unmuted.
Yes, waiting to see if anyone else jumped in. But obviously, working in the COVID diagnostic space has been, we've had a tremendous amount of inquiries and potential people placing orders and collaborations with healthcare groups. So we've had to double our staff, and we've been crazy busy over the past couple of weeks. Now, does that translate to sales? Because your question was about sales. No, it hasn't translated to any sales because of the regulatory component. But if that changes, then I think from a financial point of view, we would be very well off from this disaster. But right now, it's just a lot of generating a lot of work and a lot of partnerships and a lot of collaboration.
Anyone else to address Dale's question? And Dale, any follow-up question?
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Members of media, once again, your last opportunity if you have a question that you'd like to pose to the panel. All right, well, that appears to be it for now. Thank you for those who asked a question. Thank you for those who responded. I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor Dilkens.
That's it. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Appreciate all your time today. Appreciate all your hard work and all you're doing to make our local and regional economy so great. Thanks for participating and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe.